Today I'll be trying out this dual-ended spongy tool thing and creating this summery nude to neon gradient design. This tool supposedly makes doing gradients easier, but does it actually? I picked this tool up off of eBay, and this bundle that comes with the tool and 4 replacement sponges was a little over $6 US. One side of this thing has a pointy sponge and the other is a rounded sponge. Both are pretty bouncy and aren't super porous in appearance. Removing the replacement sponge tips was a pain in the butt. Don't even try to use your nails and don't try to pull it by the sponge either. I actually tore the sponge the first time I did it that way. I tried prying the edges up with a wooden stick. It took a lot longer than I anticipated, but I was able to get some leverage and pop it off. Definitely way harder than I expected, and if you wanted to switch sponges while you're doing a manicure, I don't think there's any way you could do that without messing up a nail. So to start this design, I'll be beginning with a base coat, of course, to protect my nails. For my base color, I'll be using Adored by Maxus, which is one of my favorite nudes for my skin tone, and I'm doing 2 coats of that for a full opaque color and letting it dry. For the first neon color, I'm using a bright peach shade, and this color is so bright it's washing out on camera, but trust me, it's a neon. And I'm going to start on the round sponge side first. I applied the nude polish and then the neon peach side by side, slightly overlapping them. Then I bounced that along the tip of my nail. First coat was obviously pretty sheer and not the smoothest fade, but the second coat added a lot more color and it smoothed out the gradient. It did look like some of the sponge dropped little sponge debris in the gradient, and the finish wasn't as smooth as using a regular cosmetic wedge sponge. Okay, so not too bad, but now let's try the pointy side. The way this sponge is shaped made me think I could just apply the color and sponge it on without needing to do that nude color to blend it, but that was not true at all. Dabbing it on just applied the color super patchy, and it was picking up polish every time I sponged it on, even after I let it dry and tried a second coat. So I tried adding the nude beside the yellow on the sponge, and this time, instead of dabbing it, I rolled it on, which actually worked way better, but it felt super awkward. And again, I was getting lots of little sponge pieces in the polish. So then I switched out the sponge for the round one to see if maybe it was just the pointy part throwing me off, and it did appear to work a little better with the dabbing technique. On camera it looks pretty seamless, but IRL it definitely wasn't the smoothest. Because that yellowy neon color wasn't getting bright enough for me, I did go ahead and put down some of the polish just on the free edge. So how does this compare to using a regular sponge? Well, for one, it's way more expensive. You can only get 1 color gradient per sponge, then you have to swap. Whereas when you use a regular wedge sponge, you can cut off the previous gradients and get several manicures out of just 1 wedge. Using a regular sponge does require a skin barrier to help clean up because it gets everywhere, but even on the first roll, the gradient is just way smoother. One tip for this design, if you give it a try, if your color polish isn't super opaque, apply some of it straight to the edge of your nail first to help it be more opaque once you do the gradient. I kind of figured that out the hard way with the previous yellow polish. I finished with top coat to smooth out all the textures, and here's what it looks like shiny. I personally love neon polishes matte, so I did add a layer of matte top coat once it dried. So is that sponge tool any good? Overall, I'm gonna have to say no, just stick with regular sponges. The sponges aren't reusable, the gradient isn't that smooth, and it wasn't any easier. It might be good for more colorful sponge designs, but for gradients, it's not that good. If you've tried this product and had different reviews, let me know how you felt about it in the comments below. And if you'd like to watch more reviews, you can just click on your screen here.